You open your eyes expecting the comfort of your own bed. Instead, a freezing draft slips through rough wooden walls, and the sharp smell of smoke fills your lungs. Somewhere outside, a church bell echoes through the darkness. Before you even stand, rats are already scratching beneath the floorboards. Welcome to medieval London, where surviving a single ordinary day is far harder than you could ever imagine. The room around you is far smaller than anything you are used to. A mattress stuffed with straw lies on a rough wooden frame, while a single blanket barely keeps away the night's cold. Tiny gaps between the timber walls allow the wind to whistle inside. There is no glass in the window, no heating, and no comforting silence. Dawn has not arrived, yet your working day has already begun. You rub your tired eyes and notice how dark the room still feels. There are no electric lights, no alarm clocks, and no glowing phone beside your bed. Time is measured by church bells, sunrise, and habit. Every family rises early because daylight is precious. Once the sun disappears, most work ends, and darkness quickly takes control of the city. As you sit upright, the cold floor bites at your bare feet. Your clothes, carefully folded beside the bed, are made from coarse wool and rough linen. They are heavy, scratchy, and far from comfortable. Yet compared with many of London's poorest people, you are fortunate. Some families own only a single set of clothing, wearing it every day through every season. Before stepping outside, you pause for a moment and listen. Roosters crow somewhere beyond the narrow streets. A distant cart rattles over uneven stones. Dogs bark, babies cry, and chimneys begin releasing thin streams of smoke into the cold morning air. Medieval London is waking up, and within minutes you will discover that every street hides challenges no modern visitor would willingly face. The narrow street is already crowded despite the early hour. Merchants push heavy carts, apprentices hurry toward their workshops, and women carry buckets of water from nearby wells. Chickens wander freely between people's feet while street dogs search for scraps of food. There are no sidewalks, no traffic rules, and very little personal space. Everyone moves quickly because every hour of daylight has value. Looking around, you notice that many houses lean dangerously toward one another. Their upper floors extend over the street, leaving only a narrow strip of sky above. Built from heavy timber with plaster packed between the beams, these homes stand shoulder to shoulder. Fires are a constant danger because nearly every building is made from wood, and one careless flame can destroy an entire neighborhood within hours. Your stomach reminds you that breakfast cannot wait. Unlike modern life, there are no supermarkets, CAFs, or refrigerators waiting nearby. Every meal depends upon what your family has stored or what can be purchased before supplies disappear. Missing breakfast is more than an inconvenience. A long day of physical labor without enough food can quickly leave you weak and exhausted before noon. As the sun slowly climbs above London's rooftops, golden light reveals a city filled with energy, noise, and endless activity. Blacksmiths prepare their forges, bakers heat their ovens, and traders arrange goods for the morning market. To visitors, the city may appear fascinating, but to those who live here every day, medieval London is a place where hard work begins with sunrise and rarely ends before darkness returns. You quickly notice that clean water is surprisingly difficult to find. Most households collect it from public wells, but the quality is never guaranteed. Nearby streams often carry waste from homes, workshops, and animals. Drinking unsafe water can bring illness without warning. Yet many families have little choice. Something as ordinary as filling a bucket each morning becomes one of the day's most important tasks. As you continue walking, church bells ring across the city. Their sound is far more than call people to worship. They announce the passing of time, signal important events, and warn of emergencies such as fires or approaching danger. Without clocks in every home, these familiar bells help organize daily life. Nearly everyone in medieval London lives according to their steady rhythm. The streets grow busier with every passing minute. Blacksmiths strike glowing iron with heavy hammers. Carpenters shape rough timber. And merchants proudly display cloth, pottery, and fresh bread. Every trade has its place within the city's growing economy. The constant noise may seem overwhelming, yet to London's residents it is simply the familiar soundtrack of another ordinary working day. You soon realize that nearly everyone has work to do, including children. Young boys and girls often help their families long before reaching adulthood. Some carry goods through the market, others learn trades as apprentices, while many assist with cooking, cleaning, or caring for younger siblings. Childhood here looks very different from the modern world. Survival depends upon every member of the household contributing. Standing at the edge of the crowded street, you take one slow breath and watch medieval London come fully alive. Smoke rises into the cool morning sky as carts rumble past and voices echo between timber houses. It is a city filled with determination, hardship, and endless movement. Yet you have only witnessed its first few hours. The greatest surprises and the harshest realities are still waiting just ahead. Just as you begin adjusting to the city's rhythm, a horse-drawn cart rushes past, forcing everyone against the wooden buildings. There are no traffic rules, no paved sidewalks, and very little space to avoid danger. Mud splashes across your clothes as the heavy wheels grind through deep ruts. In medieval London, simply walking through the streets safely requires constant attention from sunrise until sunset. You soon notice that nearly every sound carries a purpose. A blacksmith's hammer signals another day of labor. Merchants loudly advertise fresh bread, cheese, and cloth to passing customers. Church bells continue marking the hours, while distant voices echo through narrow alleyways. Unlike the steady hum of modern cities, medieval London produces a rough and unpredictable symphony that never truly becomes silent during daylight. The further you walk, the more obvious the city's sharp contrasts become. Wealthy merchants wear colorful wool cloaks and sturdy leather boots, while poorer laborers dress in faded linen patched countless times. Some homes appear strong and prosperous, while others lean dangerously with broken roofs and cracked walls. Status is visible almost everywhere, reminding you that medieval London is a city where fortune can shape every part of daily life. As the morning continues, you begin understanding that survival here depends upon preparation. Food must be earned, clean water carefully collected, work completed before darkness, and every coin spent wisely. There is little room for comfort or wasted time. Every decision carries consequences because life in medieval London offers few second chances to those who make careless mistakes. You pause one final time and look across the bustling streets stretching toward the distant city walls. Smoke rises above hundreds of timber houses. Church bells still echo through the cool morning air, and thousands of Londoners continue their daily struggle without complaint. Yet this is only the beginning of your journey. Soon, you will discover that waking up here was the easy part. Simply surviving the streets is an entirely different challenge. A chilly breeze slips through the crowded street, carrying the smell of damp timber and burning oak. You pull your ruff or cloak a little tighter, but the cold refuses to disappear. Winter mornings in medieval London are unforgiving, especially for those who cannot afford a proper fire. Comfort is a luxury, and most people simply accept the weather as another challenge that cannot be changed. Near the corner of the street, a woman carefully sweeps yesterday's rubbish away from her doorway. It is an endless task. Before long, new mud, animal waste, and scattered straw will cover the ground once again. Keeping a home clean requires constant effort because the streets themselves are never truly clean. Every sunrise begins the same struggle all over again. You take a deep breath, expecting the fresh morning air of a new day. Instead, an overwhelming wave of smoke, rotting food, animal waste, and damp mud fills your lungs. Every instinct tells you to cover your nose. Yet the people around you continue walking as though nothing is unusual. To them, this smell is simply part of life. Welcome to medieval London, where the streets challenge your senses long before they challenge your survival. As you continue down the narrow lane, you notice there are no underground sewers carrying waste away from the city. Instead, dirty water flows through shallow gutters running beside the road. Rain occasionally washes some of it away, but much remains behind, mixing with mud beneath every passing footstep. The streets are not simply unpleasant to look at. They constantly remind you how different everyday life once was. People empty buckets of household waste directly into the street, sometimes without warning. From an upstairs window, someone shouts before tossing a bucket below, giving anyone nearby only a brief moment to step aside. It may sound shocking today, but for many Londoners, this routine has become completely ordinary. Keeping waste inside the house would be even worse, so the streets bear the burden instead. Animals are everywhere. Horses pull heavy carts through the mud. Chickens wander freely between market stalls, and pigs sometimes roam the streets searching for scraps. Wherever animals gather, waste quickly follows. Their presence is essential because they provide transportation, food, and labor. Yet they also add another powerful layer to the city's unforgettable smell. Every corner offers a new reminder that medieval London is shared by both people and livestock. Even the air itself seems unusually heavy. Smoke pours from hundreds of fireplaces burning wood or charcoal throughout the city. Most homes have simple chimneys that struggle to carry all the smoke away, leaving a constant haze hanging over the rooftops. Combined with the odors rising from the streets below, every breath feels thick and unfamiliar. Before long, you begin wondering whether anyone living here even remembers what truly fresh air smells like. You soon discover that butchers contribute their own powerful scent to the city. Freshly slaughtered animals hang outside wooden shops while blood flows into shallow gutters beside the road. Scraps that cannot be sold are often left for dogs, pigs, or scavenging birds. It may seem disturbing today, but these busy butcher stores provide an essential source of food for thousands of Londoners every single day. Nearby, tanners transform animal hides into leather using methods that produce one of the strongest smells in the entire city. Hides are soaked, scraped, and treated with mixtures that most modern visitors would struggle to tolerate. Because of the overwhelming odor, these workshops are often placed away from wealthier neighborhoods. Even so, the unpleasant smell can drift through the streets whenever the wind changes direction. Fish sellers add another layer to the morning air. Carts filled with freshly caught fish stand beside barrels packed with salted seafood brought from distant coasts. Without refrigeration, merchants must sell their goods quickly before they spoil. On warm days, the smell grows noticeably stronger as the hours pass. Customers hurry to make their purchases, knowing yesterday's catch may not remain fresh for very long. The muddy streets beneath your feet hide more than simple dirt. Layers of straw, spilled food, ash from fireplaces, animal waste, and discarded rubbish mix together into a thick surface that changes with the weather. After heavy rain, every step risks sinking into sticky mud. During dry days, the ground hardens, but dust carrying the city's many odors rises into the air with every passing cart. After spending only a few hours outside, something surprising begins to happen. The powerful smells that first seemed unbearable slowly become less noticeable. Your senses start adapting just as the people around you have done throughout their lives. Medieval London has not become cleaner. Instead, your mind is learning to accept what once felt impossible to ignore. It is a small reminder that human beings can adapt to almost any environment with enough time. As you move deeper into the city, you realize that every neighborhood has its own distinct smell. Near the markets, fresh herbs and warm bread briefly fill the air. Closer to the river, damp wood, fish, and muddy banks dominate every breath. Around workshops, smoke and hot metal become impossible to ignore. Medieval London is a city where your nose often tells you where you are before your eyes do. You notice that many people carry small bundles of fragrant herbs tucked into their clothing or held close to their faces. Lavender, rosemary, and mint are believed to help soften unpleasant odors. Some even think sweet smells can protect them from disease. Whether or not these beliefs are true, the comforting scent offers a welcome escape from the harsh reality of London's crowded streets. Rain does little to solve the problem. At first, the falling water seems refreshing, washing dust from the rooftops and cooling the air. But within minutes, it mixes with mud, waste, and rubbish already covering the streets. The gutters overflow, carrying foul-smelling water through busy walkways. Instead of making the city cleaner, heavy rain often spreads unpleasant smells even farther than before. Not everyone notices the odors in the same way. A merchant who has lived here since childhood walks confidently through the streets without hesitation. A traveler arriving for the first time, however, may struggle to breathe comfortably. The human senses slowly adapt to familiar surroundings. What seems overwhelming today could eventually become just another ordinary part of daily life if you remained in medieval London long enough. By now, you understand that the city's unforgettable smell is more than an inconvenience. It reflects the way people live, work, trade, cook, and survive together inside crowded walls. Every market, workshop, stable, and household adds another layer to the atmosphere surrounding you. Medieval London is alive in every possible sense, and its streets leave an impression that visitors are unlikely to forget for the rest of their lives. The River Thames is the lifeblood of medieval London, yet it also contributes to the city's unforgettable smell. Boats arrive carrying grain, timber, wine, and wool from distant places, while countless people depend on the river every day. At the same time, waste often finds its way into the water. The same river that brings wealth and opportunity can also carry unpleasant odors throughout the surrounding streets. You soon notice that wealthy neighborhoods are usually cleaner than the crowded districts where laborers live. Rich merchants can afford larger homes, private courtyards, and servants to remove rubbish. Poorer families often share narrow streets with many neighbors, leaving little space for cleanliness. Even within the same city, daily life can feel remarkably different depending on where you happen to live. As midday approaches, the warmth of the sun begins changing the air around you. Smells that seemed manageable during the cool morning grow noticeably stronger. Food spoils more quickly. Animal waste dries beneath your feet, and smoke hangs heavily between the timber buildings. Every passing hour reminds you that the weather itself shapes how medieval London looks, feels, and even smells. Despite everything surrounding them, the people of London continue their work without complaint. Bakers prepare bread, blacksmiths shape iron, traders bargain with customers, and children run errands through the crowded streets. Life does not pause because the city smells unpleasant. Instead, generations of Londoners have learned to focus on survival, family, and work, accepting these conditions as a normal part of everyday existence. By the end of your walk, you finally understand why visitors often remembered medieval London long after they returned home. It was not only the towering churches, busy markets, or impressive city walls that stayed in their memories. It was the unmistakable atmosphere that surrounded every street. And as you continue your journey, you are about to discover that the city's greatest challenge is not its smell, but finding enough food before someone else does. Your stomach growls as the morning wears on, and you assume finding breakfast will be easy. After all, London is one of the largest cities in medieval Europe. Surely food must be everywhere. But within moments, you realize a troubling truth. Every loaf of bread, every piece of cheese, and every handful of grain is valuable. If you arrive too late or let your guard down, you may go hungry. In medieval London, finding food is only half the battle. Keeping it is the real challenge. The morning market is already alive with activity. Farmers unload baskets of onions, cabbages, beans, and apples, while merchants proudly display fresh bread, smoked fish, and wheels of cheese. Customers crowd around every store, carefully comparing prices before spending their precious coins. There are no supermarkets or packaged meals here. Every purchase depends on what the season provides and what merchants manage to bring into the city that day. Bread is the foundation of nearly every meal. Rich families enjoy soft white loaves made from finely milled wheat, while ordinary workers often eat darker bread baked from rye or barley. Some loaves are fresh from the oven, while others have already begun to harden with age. Even stale bread is rarely wasted. It can be softened in soup or eaten with ale, making every crumb too valuable to throw away. Meat appears far less often than many modern people might expect. Wealthy households occasionally enjoy beef, pork, or venison, but for ordinary Londoners, meat is an expensive luxury. Most families rely instead on vegetables, beans, oats, and coarse bread to fill their stomachs. On certain religious days, fish replaces meat entirely, creating busy scenes around the fishmongers' stalls as customers compete for the freshest catch. As you carefully carry your small bundle of food through the crowded market, you instinctively keep one hand wrapped tightly around it. Hungry eyes watch every passing customer. Pickpockets move silently through the crowd, while desperate thieves search for easy opportunities. Losing today's food could mean missing your only proper meal before nightfall. In medieval London, even a simple loaf of bread is worth protecting with great care. You quickly learn that food changes with the seasons. In summer, the markets overflow with fresh vegetables and fruit. During winter, choices become far more limited. Families depend on dried peas, salted meat, onions, and grains stored months earlier. A poor harvest can send prices soaring almost overnight, leaving many people wondering how they will feed their families until spring returns. Not every meal is eaten at home. Street vendors walk through the busy roads carrying warm meat pies, roasted chestnuts, and freshly baked pastries for workers who cannot return home during the day. The smell is tempting, but every purchase requires careful thought. Spending too many coins on a convenient meal today may leave you with too little money for tomorrow's bread. As you stop beside a crowded store, you notice that bargaining is part of everyday life. Customers politely question prices, merchants defend the quality of their goods, and both sides hope to reach a fair agreement. Fixed prices are uncommon. Every successful negotiation can save a few valuable coins, making bargaining an important skill for anyone trying to survive in medieval London. You are warned never to leave your food unattended, even for a moment. A loaf of bread sitting alone on a cart or bench may disappear before you turn around. Hunger drives some people to desperate choices, and crowded markets offer countless opportunities for quick theft. Honest merchants, hard-working laborers, and skilled thieves all move through the same busy streets together. By the time your shopping is finished, you appreciate how much effort goes into obtaining even the simplest meal. Every loaf of bread represents hours of farming, grinding grain, baking, transporting, and selling. Nothing reaches your table without hard work from many different people. In medieval London, food is never taken for granted because everyone understands how easily it can disappear. You soon discover that food is not only expensive, it is carefully watched. Market inspectors regularly walk between the stalls, checking the weight of bread, the quality of meat, and the fairness of prices. Merchants caught cheating their customers can face heavy fines or public punishment. Honest trade is essential because thousands of people depend upon these markets for their daily survival. Bread is so important that the government sometimes regulates its price. During difficult years, officials tried to prevent bakers from charging unfair amounts for this essential food. The size and cost of each loaf may change depending on the price of grain, but strict rules help reduce shortages and keep bread available for ordinary families whenever possible. Ale accompanies nearly every meal, even for many children. Unlike modern drinking habits, weak ale is often considered safer than untreated water because the brewing process helps reduce harmful bacteria. It contains far less alcohol than modern beer, making it a common part of everyday life. A simple meal of bread, cheese, and ale is enough to keep many workers going throughout the day. Not everyone in the market can afford to buy enough food. Some elderly people, widows, and the poor wait patiently near churches or charitable houses, hoping to receive bread or a warm meal. Religious communities often provide what assistance they can, reminding you that kindness and generosity remain important, even in a city where resources are limited. As you leave the busy marketplace, you look back at the endless movement around the wooden stalls. Farmers continue unloading fresh produce, merchants call out to passing customers, and hungry families hurry home carrying their precious purchases. The market is more than a place to buy food. It is the beating heart of medieval London, where survival, business, and community meet every single day. You notice that many families grow small kitchen gardens whenever space allows. Behind wooden fences, tiny patches of land produce onions, cabbages, beans, leeks, and herbs. These simple gardens cannot feed an entire household, but they help stretch limited supplies throughout the year. Every fresh vegetable harvested at home means one less purchase at the market, saving valuable coins for other necessities. Preserving food is just as important as finding it. Without refrigerators, people rely on salting, smoking, drying, and pickling to keep food edible for weeks or even months. Strings of onions hang from ceilings, smoked fish fill wooden barrels, and salted meat is stored carefully for winter. Preparing for the colder months begins long before the first frost ever appears. Not every meal is peaceful. During years of poor harvests, food shortages can create tension throughout the city. Prices rise quickly, tempers grow shorter, and anxious families compete for limited supplies. Although complete famine is uncommon, many Londoners know what it feels like to eat less than they need. A single failed harvest can affect thousands of lives within only a few weeks. As you walk away from the market, you instinctively hold your food close against your chest. Around you, strangers brush past in every direction. Most are honest workers simply trying to reach home, but a crowded street always offers opportunities for thieves. Losing your day's food could mean going to bed hungry. Here, protecting what you have is just as important as earning it. By the time you finally return home, today's meal feels like a genuine achievement rather than a simple routine. Every loaf of bread, every piece of cheese, and every handful of vegetables represents hours of labor from countless people. In medieval London, food is never guaranteed. And as your stomach is finally satisfied, another invisible danger quietly waits in the street's disease, rats, and the city's open sewers. As evening slowly approaches, the market begins to empty. Merchants carefully pack away the goods they failed to sell, knowing little can be wasted. Unsold vegetables may spoil by tomorrow, while fresh bread quickly becomes stale. Every trading day ends with careful decisions about what to store, what to preserve, and what must be sold before darkness falls. In medieval London, food remains valuable until the very last crumb. You have managed to find food, but another danger now surrounds you without making a sound. It hides beneath wooden floors, scurries through dark alleys, and flows openly beside the streets. You cannot always see it, yet it follows every step you take. In medieval London, disease spreads long before anyone understands what causes it. The greatest threat to your life is not war or crime. It is the invisible danger carried by the city itself. As you walk through the crowded streets, you notice shallow gutters running alongside the roads. Instead of carrying clean rainwater, they often contain household waste, dirty water, and scraps thrown out from nearby homes. During dry weather, unpleasant smells rise into the air. After heavy rain, the filthy water spreads across the streets, making every journey even more difficult and unhealthy. Rats are impossible to ignore once you begin looking for them. They dart beneath wooden carts, disappear through holes in old buildings, and search endlessly for discarded food. Most Londoners see them almost every day. Although people dislike these unwanted visitors, they have little understanding of the diseases rats and their fleas may help spread. To many, they are simply another nuisance of city life. Without modern sanitation, rubbish quickly piles up wherever people live and work. Rotten vegetables, broken pottery, ashes from fireplaces, and animal waste often remain in the streets until someone removes them. Dogs, pigs, and birds search through the piles for scraps, scattering debris even farther. Keeping the city clean is a constant struggle that no one ever truly wins. Illness is an ordinary part of life in medieval London. A simple fever, infected wound, or stomach sickness can become far more dangerous than most people imagine. Doctors exist, but their knowledge is limited by the medical understanding of the time. Many families rely on herbal remedies, prayers, and hope, never knowing whether a loved one will recover or slowly grow weaker with each passing day. You pass a narrow alley where the sunlight barely reaches the ground. The damp air feels unusually cold, and small rats disappear into cracks beneath the buildings as you approach. These hidden passages are common throughout medieval London. They provide shelter for unwanted pests that feed on scraps left behind by busy households. Most people simply learn to live alongside them, rarely imagining the danger they may carry. If someone in your neighborhood becomes seriously ill, fear spreads almost as quickly as the sickness itself. Families worry about relatives, neighbors avoid close contact, and rumors travel through the streets faster than facts. Without understanding bacteria or viruses, people search for explanations wherever they can. Some blame bad air, while others believe illness is a punishment sent from above. Medical treatment is very different from what you know today. A physician may examine your pulse, inspect your urine, or recommend herbal mixtures prepared from local plants. Barbers often perform simple surgical procedures such as pulling teeth or treating wounds. Although some remedies provide comfort, many illnesses remain beyond anyone's ability to cure. Recovery often depends as much on luck as on medicine. The crowded homes of medieval London make disease even harder to escape. Entire families often share a single small room, sleeping only a few feet apart. If one person develops a fever or severe cough, everyone inside the house faces the same risk. Isolation is almost impossible when space is limited, and every family depends upon one another for survival. As the day continues, you begin realizing that the greatest danger in medieval London is often invisible. You cannot see contaminated water, harmful germs, or the tiny fleas hiding among rats. Yet these unseen threats shape countless lives every year. While people work, trade, and raise their families, illness quietly waits for the smallest opportunity to spread through the crowded city. When illness strikes, most people cannot simply stop working. A blacksmith, baker, or carpenter who stays home earns no money to feed their family. Many continue their daily labor despite fever, pain, or exhaustion, hoping their condition will improve with time. Rest is a luxury few can afford, and this often allows sickness to spread quietly from one household to another. You notice bunches of dried herbs hanging inside homes and workshops. Lavender, sage, rosemary, and thyme are believed to purify the air and protect against disease. Many people carry small fragrant pouches wherever they go, convinced that pleasant smells can drive away illness. Although these remedies cannot stop dangerous infections, they offer comfort in a world where medical knowledge remains limited. The city's hospitals are very different from modern ones. Most are operated by religious communities that provide shelter, food, and basic care for the sick, the elderly, and travelers. Their caregivers work with kindness and dedication, but they have few effective treatments for serious diseases. For many patients, compassion and prayer are just as important as medicine itself. A small cut on your hand may seem harmless today, but in medieval London it deserves careful attention. Without modern antibiotics, even a simple wound can become infected after contact with dirty water or contaminated streets. People clean injuries as best they can using herbs, cloth, or wine. Yet many infections remain beyond their ability to control. As you continue through the crowded city, you realize that every resident lives with uncertainty. No one knows which family may fall ill next or when another outbreak might appear. Yet despite these invisible dangers, London never stops moving. Markets remain busy, workshops stay open, and church bells continue to ring. Life goes on because, for the people who call this city home, there is simply no other choice. You pause beside a public well where several families patiently wait with wooden buckets. This water is essential for cooking, drinking, and washing, yet no one can be certain it is completely clean. Wells located too close to waste pits sometimes become contaminated without anyone realizing it. A simple bucket of water, something you barely think about today, can quietly determine whether a family remains healthy or falls seriously ill. Every so often, a cart slowly moves through the streets collecting rubbish from wealthier neighborhoods, but much of the city has no organized waste removal at all. Broken tools, spoiled food ashes, and household waste often remain where they are discarded. The growing piles attract rats, insects, and street animals, creating perfect conditions for disease to spread through the crowded streets. At night, the danger becomes even harder to see. With only candlelight and a few lanterns, dark alleyways provide perfect hiding places for rats searching for food. You hear scratching beneath wooden floors and behind old walls long after the city has grown quiet. Most families accept these sounds as a normal part of life, even though they unknowingly share their homes with countless unwanted visitors. Despite these harsh conditions, the people of medieval London display remarkable resilience. Every morning, they sweep their doorsteps, repair broken fences, care for sick relatives, and continue working to support their families. They cannot eliminate every danger surrounding them, but they refuse to surrender to fear. Daily life demands determination, and generation after generation rises to meet that challenge. As you leave the city's crowded neighborhoods behind, one lesson becomes impossible to ignore. Surviving medieval London is not simply about avoiding illness. It is about adapting to a world where danger hides in ordinary places, in the water you drink, the streets you walk, and even the walls of your own home. And with the afternoon approaching, another challenge now awaits you: the crowded markets, strict laws, and constant risk of crime that shape everyday life in the city. As the afternoon slowly fades, you realize something unexpected. Despite the rats, the open gutters, and the constant threat of disease, medieval London remains one of Europe's greatest cities. Thousands of people continue building homes, raising families, trading goods, and pursuing their dreams within its crowded walls. Life here is undeniably harsh, yet it never stands still. Tomorrow will bring the same hidden dangers and the same determination to face them once again. The marketplace seems lively, colorful, and full of opportunity. Merchants shout friendly greetings. Fresh bread fills the air with its comforting aroma, and shoppers crowd every narrow lane. But beneath this cheerful scene lies another side of medieval London. A single careless moment could cost you your money, your belongings, or even your freedom. In this city, every busy market hides dangers that are just as real as its treasures. As you step deeper into the marketplace, the noise grows louder with every passing second. Traders advertise wool from England, spices from distant lands, fine cloth, leather boots, pottery, candles, and handmade tools. Customers bargain over every purchase while carts squeeze through the crowded streets. The market is more than a place to shop. It is the beating heart of London's economy, where thousands of lives depend on daily trade. With so many people gathered in one place, thieves find endless opportunities. Pickpockets quietly slip through the crowd, watching for heavy coin purses hanging from belts or distracted customers carrying fresh purchases. They move quickly, often working in groups to confuse their victims before disappearing into the busy streets. By the time you realize something is missing, the thief is usually long gone. Merchants work hard to earn the trust of their customers, but not everyone plays by the rules. Some secretly use false weights, watered-down ale, or poor quality goods while charging full price. To prevent cheating, city officials regularly inspect market stalls and punish dishonest traders. Fair trade is taken seriously because confidence in the marketplace keeps London's economy alive and its people supplied with essential goods. You instinctively keep one hand resting on your small pouch of coins as you move through the crowd. Every purchase must be planned carefully because money is difficult to earn and easy to lose. Around you, strangers brush past in every direction. Most are honest workers simply trying to feed their families. Yet it takes only one skilled thief to turn an ordinary visit to the market into a costly lesson. Not every crime involves stealing coins. Some thieves quietly take sacks of grain, bundles of firewood, or freshly baked bread left unattended outside a shop. For struggling families, even a small amount of food can mean the difference between eating and going hungry. Poverty drives some people to desperate choices, while others steal simply because crowded markets provide easy opportunities. The city employs watchmen to help keep order, especially after sunset. Armed with wooden staffs and lanterns, they patrol the streets listening for arguments, suspicious footsteps, or cries for help. Their presence offers some reassurance, but they cannot be everywhere at once. In the busiest neighborhoods, responsibility for staying safe still rests largely with each individual. If someone is caught committing a crime, justice is often swift and public. Minor offenses may result in fines or time spent in the stocks, where offenders sit with their hands and feet locked in wooden frames. Curious crowds gather to watch, and some throw rotten vegetables or shout insults. Public punishment is meant not only to discipline the guilty, but also to discourage others from breaking the law. More serious crimes receive far harsher penalties. Robbery, repeated theft, violent assault, or treason can lead to imprisonment or even execution, depending on the circumstances. Medieval laws are strict because city leaders believe harsh punishments help maintain order in a rapidly growing population. Mercy exists, but it is never guaranteed, and every citizen understands the consequences of crossing the law. As you leave the marketplace behind, you realize that London's busiest streets are built on a delicate balance of trust and caution. Merchants trust customers to pay honestly. Customers trust sellers to offer fair goods, and everyone hopes the law will protect them from criminals. Yet, beneath this daily routine, danger is never far away, reminding you that survival depends as much on good judgment as it does on hard work. You notice that every marketplace follows a strict set of rules. Merchants are expected to sell honest goods, use accurate scales, and keep the walkways clear for customers. Officials regularly inspect stores to maintain order. These regulations help protect both buyers and sellers, ensuring that London's busiest markets remain places of commerce rather than complete chaos. Arguments are common when so many people gather in one place. A disagreement over the price of wool, a damaged loaf of bread, or an unpaid debt can quickly attract a curious crowd. Most disputes end with raised voices rather than violence, but city officers remain nearby, ready to step in if tempers grow out of control. Maintaining peace is essential for business to continue. One punishment few people wish to experience is the pillory. Unlike the stocks, the pillory locks a person's head and hands in a wooden frame, placing them on public display. Passers-by often gather to laugh, insult, or throw spoiled food at the offender. Beyond physical discomfort, the greatest punishment is public humiliation, which can damage a person's reputation for years. The city gates are carefully watched throughout the day. Guards observe merchants arriving with carts of grain, livestock, timber, and valuable goods from the countryside. Taxes are sometimes collected before traders are allowed to enter. These inspections help protect London's economy while reducing the movement of stolen property into the crowded marketplace. As you spend more time among the merchants, you begin to appreciate the remarkable organization hidden beneath the noise. Thousands of daily transactions take place with surprising efficiency. Honest traders build loyal customers, skilled craftsmen and respected reputations, and hard-working families depend upon this system every single day. Despite the constant threat of crime, the marketplace remains the engine that keeps medieval London alive. As the afternoon wears on, the marketplace becomes even more crowded. Travelers from nearby villages arrive with carts full of grain, eggs, firewood, and fresh vegetables. Voices overlap from every direction as buyers and sellers negotiate one final bargain before sunset. The growing crowd creates opportunity for honest trade, but it also provides perfect cover for anyone hoping to steal unnoticed. You notice that many merchants belong to powerful trade guilds. These organizations protect their members, maintain standards of craftsmanship, and train young apprentices. A respected guild member earns trust through years of honest work, while those who cheat customers risk losing both their reputation and their livelihood. In medieval London, a good name is often worth more than a pouch of silver coins. Near the center of the market, a town crier loudly announces the latest royal orders and local news. People pause their shopping to listen carefully. New taxes, market regulations, public warnings, and official announcements are all shared in this way. Without newspapers or radios, these public proclamations keep the city's residents informed about the events shaping their daily life. As evening approaches, shopkeepers carefully count their earnings before locking away their goods. Wooden shutters close over market stalls, and valuable merchandise is carried indoors before darkness falls. No sensible merchant leaves expensive items outside overnight. Once the sun disappears, the streets become far less predictable, and protecting one's livelihood becomes every bit as important as earning it. Walking away from the marketplace, you realize that medieval London is built upon both opportunity and risk. Honest merchants, hard-working craftsmen, determined laborers, clever thieves, and strict officials all share the same crowded streets. Every day brings new bargains, new dangers, and new lessons. But as daylight begins to fade, another challenge awaits. Soon, the city will transform once again as night falls over medieval London. The last rays of sunlight disappear behind London's rooftops, and the city begins to change. The crowded streets that felt alive only hours ago now grow quieter with every passing minute. Shopkeepers hurry to close their doors, travelers search for shelter, and distant church bells echo through the evening air. Darkness brings a different kind of danger. In medieval London, surviving the night can be every bit as challenging as surviving the day. One by one, merchants pull heavy wooden shutters across their shop windows and lock their doors. Market stalls that buzzed with activity since dawn now stand empty. The smell of fresh bread and roasted meat slowly fades, replaced by cool evening air and the smoke rising from hundreds of fireplaces. Another busy day of trade has finally come to an end. Without electric lights, darkness settles over the city surprisingly fast. Only candles or lamps and the occasional torch provide small circles of light along the streets. Beyond their faint glow, narrow alleyways disappear into deep shadow. Walking alone after sunset becomes risky, not only because of thieves, but also because uneven roads and hidden obstacles are difficult to see. Families gather inside their timber homes around the warmth of a small fire. A simple evening meal of bread, soup, cheese, or porridge is shared while stories from the day's work fill the room. Children grow sleepy beside the fire, and tired workers finally rest their aching muscles. After hours of labor, these quiet moments together become one of the day's greatest comforts. Outside, the city grows quieter, but it never becomes completely silent. Dogs bark somewhere in the distance, horses shift inside their stables, and church bells gently mark the passing hours. Smoke drifts above the rooftops beneath a sky filled with stars. As you look across medieval London, you realize the city may be sleeping, but beneath the darkness, life continues in ways most people never see. As darkness deepens, the city gates are firmly closed for the night. Guards take their positions along the walls and at the entrances, watching for suspicious movement beyond the torchlight. Anyone arriving too late may be forced to wait outside until morning. The gates protect London from unexpected threats, but they also remind every traveler that timing can mean the difference between safety and danger. The night watch begins its patrol through the narrow streets, carrying lanterns and wooden staffs. Their footsteps echo between the timber buildings as they call out the passing hours. They listen for cries for help, signs of fire, or the sound of trouble in the darkness. Although they cannot be everywhere at once, their presence offers comfort to families sleeping behind locked doors. Inside your small home, the fire slowly burns lower. Candles are used sparingly because they are expensive, so many families choose darkness over wasting precious light. Conversation becomes quieter as everyone prepares for sleep. Tomorrow's work will begin before sunrise, leaving little reason to stay awake late into the evening. Rest is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Outside, London's animals remain awake long after many people have gone to bed. Rats search for scraps beneath market stalls, stray dogs wander empty streets, and horses occasionally stamp inside their stables. Their sounds drift through the quiet night, reminding you that even while the city sleeps, countless living creatures continue moving through its shadows. Looking up, you notice a sky unlike anything seen in the modern world. With no electric lights to hide them, thousands of stars shine brightly above medieval London. The moon casts a pale glow across rooftops, church towers, and winding streets. For a brief moment, the noisy city feels peaceful. Yet with tomorrow's sunrise, the same struggles, dangers, and routines will begin all over again. The air grows noticeably colder as the fire burns lower. You pull your wool blanket closer, listening to the wind slipping through tiny gaps in the timber walls. The house offers shelter, but not complete warmth. During the colder months, families often sleep close together to share body heat. It may not be comfortable, yet it helps them endure the long medieval nights until the first light of dawn. Before going to sleep, many Londoners quietly say their evening prayers. They thank God for another safe day, ask for protection through the night, and hope tomorrow will bring enough work and food for their families. Faith provides comfort in a world filled with uncertainty. When so much remains beyond human control, prayer becomes an important part of every ordinary evening. The streets outside now belong to a different world. Only a handful of travelers, watchmen, and late workers remain awake. The noisy marketplace has fallen silent, leaving behind empty carts and shuttered shops. Under the pale moonlight, the same streets that bustled with thousands of people only hours ago now feel mysterious, almost as if the city itself has fallen asleep. Lying quietly, you think back over everything you have experienced since sunrise. The crowded streets, the smell of smoke, the busy markets, the constant search for food, and the hidden dangers of disease all seem impossible to forget. Every ordinary task required effort, patience, and caution. You begin to understand that surviving a single day in medieval London demands far more resilience than you ever expected. As your eyes slowly close, the distant church bell rings once more across the sleeping city. Tomorrow, the bakers will wake before dawn. Merchants will return to the markets. Blacksmiths will light their forges, and thousands of Londoners will begin another demanding day. For them, this is simply everyday life. For you, it has been an unforgettable journey into one of history's most remarkable cities. Before drifting to sleep, you realize how completely your sense of time has changed. There were no glowing screens, no late-night entertainment, and no endless stream of distractions. Your day began with the church bells before sunrise and now ends beneath a sky filled with stars. Life follows the rhythm of nature, where daylight brings work and darkness gently invites the city to rest. Somewhere beyond your window, a lone watchman calls out the passing hour. His voice echoes through the quiet streets, reassuring sleeping families that someone remains awake. The sound fades into the distance before returning again from another corner of the city. It is a simple reminder that even while London sleeps, a few dedicated people continue protecting those resting behind wooden doors. You cannot help comparing this world with your own. There are no engines, no glowing streetlights, and no distant hum of electricity. Instead, you hear only crackling firewood, the soft rustle of the wind, and the occasional footsteps of someone hurrying home before the night grows even darker. The silence feels unfamiliar, yet strangely peaceful after the noise of the busy marketplace. Looking back over the entire day, you understand that surviving medieval London required far more than courage. It demanded patience, hard work, strong family ties, careful planning, and the ability to adapt to hardships that modern people rarely face. Every loaf of bread, every clean drink of water, and every safe night's sleep had to be earned through determination and resilience. As sleep finally begins to overtake you, the great city of medieval London rests beneath a blanket of stars, waiting for another dawn to begin the cycle once more. You have walked its muddy streets, breathed its smoky air, shared its simple meals, and witnessed both its hardships and its remarkable spirit. And perhaps, as you close your eyes, you realize that surviving a single day here was a far greater achievement than you ever imagined. As the first hint of tomorrow's dawn waits beyond the horizon, your journey through medieval London finally comes to an end. The city's bells will soon ring again, fires will be lit, markets will reopen, and thousands of ordinary people will begin another demanding day just as they have for generations. Tonight, however, you leave with a deeper understanding of their world, a life shaped by resilience, community, and quiet determination. Thank you for traveling back in time, and until our... If this quiet journey through medieval London helped you relax or see history in a new way, consider joining me for another peaceful adventure through the past. There are countless forgotten cities, remarkable people, and extraordinary moments still waiting to be explored. Until then, thank you for spending this evening together. Rest well, sleep peacefully, and I'll see you in the next journey through history.